Although I always thought I was part of a morally decent family, we never really had any spiritual direction. We never discussed things like mortality, spirituality, or salvation. And leading up to our first visit to High Rock, I asked my son if he knew who God was, and he thought for a few seconds, and then he said, "Zeus!" So it was then that I knew that something had to change, and we needed to at least go see what the church was all about. I'm really blessed to be part of a close-knit group of friends, and a few of my friends have ties to High Rock because they play in the band. And two of my buddies, Chris and Travis, they were actually members of the High Rock Kannapolis campus and were constantly telling me all the great things going on there. As cool as all the things sounded that Travis and Chris were telling me about the church, I never would take the time or make the time to go. It wasn't until they told me that they were opening up a new campus in Harrisburg, and it was going to open on Easter Sunday. And not only that, they were going to be playing that day in the band. So it would be the perfect time to come see what it's all about and come to a brand new church where not everybody knew everybody already. So I was worried about my family not having nice enough clothes, but they assured me that anything I wore would be fine, and they were right. From the moment we pulled into the parking lot, we were greeted with nothing but love and acceptance, and I could tell that these people were genuinely happy that we were attending. And I mean, I'm 40 years old. I can spot fake from a mile away. The actual service was unlike anything I had ever experienced in a church before. You know, the music was fantastic. I'm not just saying that because my friends were in the band. It was just a breath of fresh air coming from the old churches with the hymnal books, and I loved the way the pastor spoke. He was really a great speaker, and I told him that when I left. I shook his hand. I said, "You're a fantastic speaker," and I really enjoyed it, and wasn't really sure if I'd ever see him again, but I wanted to let him know that. The Wednesday after the Easter Sunday service that we went to, my daughter was involved in an accident. She was ejected from a moving golf cart. She fractured her skull and her first vertebrae and was taken to Northeast Medical Center, and they transferred her from there to Levine Children's Hospital at CMC Maine in Charlotte. It was at that time that we were told how severe the concussion was, and we were petrified. We never had anything this traumatic happen in our lives. The second night we were there, it was a cold, rainy night. Pastor Robbie and Samuel, who was the leader of the band, is all we knew. They came walking into the door of my daughter's hospital room. They weren't with any of my friends. No one accompanied them there. They just came on their own wheel to check on a family that they'd never been formally introduced to. Well, before they left, they asked if I minded if they prayed for my daughter or prayed with her, and I said, "No, I don't mind." But he even took it a step further, and when he walked in the room, he asked my daughter if she minded if he prayed with her. And her little weak voice, she said, "No, I don't mind." So he held her hand, and I think everybody held hands around her bed, and he prayed a prayer basically asking God to show our family how powerful and loving He is. And then they left. I thanked him for coming, and they left. Well, literally 15 minutes after they left, a nurse comes walking in with discharge instructions, and I was livid. I thought they were asking us to leave because I didn't have any health insurance for my daughter, and basically they told me that she can receive the same care at home as she is receiving there, that we're just as capable of taking care of her as they were. And I didn't buy that at all. I mean, the nurses acted like it was very serious. Just the words fractured skull and vertebrae. I mean, a parent just can't comprehend that. They can't imagine how scary that is. Then for someone to also tell you, oh, it's no big deal, well, that sounded fishy to me, because you know, they had given us a list of things for her to do, and she hadn't done any of them. So anyway, after my rant and everything, we took her home. And the next day, I realized when I was typing a message to someone, and they were asking me about my daughter, and I was typing, yeah, well, you know, Pastor Robbie came and Samuel, and they prayed, and now she's home. But before I could type that, I had to run tell my wife, God answered Robbie's prayer. Our daughter is gonna be okay. She's where she needs to be. And we knew we had to go back, and we have ever since. That prayer in the hospital room in Charlotte changed our lives forever. We now totally believe in the power of prayer, and we have become prayers ourselves, because we want to share that. We would like to be the conduit for someone else to experience what we experienced through someone praying for us. So the whole family looks forward to getting up and going to church every Sunday. We talk about things we were not really comfortable talking about prior to going, and my son knows who God is now. And we all own Bibles, believe it or not. We all were part of the first baptism at Harrisburg campus, and it was at that baptism that Robbie got on the mic and told the story of this wall in the Harrisburg campus that's covered up now. And when they were renovating the church, the people who were there, the workers, wrote names of people that they would like God to show up in their lives. Our names were on this wall, and they actually showed us a picture of our names on this wall that the workers would pray over every time they would come there and start work. Well, all that did was just, well, it freaked us out a little bit. That's heavy. I mean, this was in the works. It was very divine. It was in the works for a long time. He was waiting for the right time to show up, and he did. I'm proud to say that my family attends High Rock Church, and that we are believers in the power and love of an almighty God.